Hey guys, so I know I have been asking people what I should make my first video blog about, and I decided that I wanted to do it on how I became a doula. Basically, I became a doula because I felt that my care during my labor and delivery process was not the best that it could be. I felt that my own womanhood was tested against what had happened in the hospital, and I also felt that I did not have the support that I needed with my husband being in the military and being away from family. I felt that the support I had was not enough for what I needed postpartum after having my son. First off, I'm going to start with what exactly happened in the hospital with my son. I had scheduled an induction for 39 weeks, 4 days. The whole reason why I had scheduled an induction was because my husband was supposed to be leaving for Texas and he was going to be going to a school. And I was all the way in Illinois, no family, all my other friends were pregnant or had newborns. So I figured, hey, I'm going to be on my own. I need to do this before he leaves. Lo and behold, I woke up that morning at 4 o'clock in the morning and my contractions were 5 minutes apart. And I was really excited about that because that meant that, I didn't have to be induced. I was in labor. So I ended up calling the hospital and telling them I'm supposed to be there at 7:30 to be induced. And I told her that I was in labor, or at least I thought I was in labor. My contractions were 5 minutes apart. They were getting stronger. And it was hard to walk through them. I was using my breathing techniques through them. So she says, okay, we'll just come in at 7:30 because obviously you're not in like actually active labor transition, so there's no need to rush. I stopped at Panera to get a sandwich before I had gone to the hospital. I knew that they would not be letting me eat, which I felt was completely wrong. I knew that I was going to be hungry. So I stopped at Panera and got some sandwiches, and I ate one of them and went on to the hospital. We were waiting there for about 20 minutes, and the whole time, I was having contractions. I had to stop in the bathroom. My body was going through the stages of, I guess you want to say, emptying out before you go into actual transitional labor, active labor. They called me back, and we got into our room, and we got everything figured out. I got into my hospital gown, even though it was very uncomfortable, and the nurse said that she would call my doctor. I was walking around, laboring, leaning on things, and then I ended up laying down, and the doctor came in. He said that he was going to break my water because I was 4 centimeters. The day before, I was 3 centimeters, and I was 80% effaced, and the day before, I was about 60. So I had made a little bit of progress over night towards the morning when I had started to go into labor. So when he broke my water, he left the room right after, just says, okay, well, I'll see you in a couple hours. And the nurse let me get on the laboring ball, and I labored on the ball for about an hour. It wasn't painful. It was just like bad period cramps, but they were getting to the point where they were about 3 minutes apart. I got back into the bed after about an hour, and the nurse wanted to check me. I had dilated to a 5, and I thought I was making great progress. So she left the room, and I'm laboring for about another hour to 45 minutes to an hour, and she comes in during a contraction and hooks something up to my IV, and I thought it was just a new bag of fluid. And then she leaves the room, and my husband glanced up at the IV, and he looked at me and he goes, that's Pitocin. Now, I had automatically thought, because I had been in labor that morning, I was having contractions, that they weren't going to induce me. Well, lo and behold, I guess the doctor thought I wasn't making progress fast enough because he still hooked up the Pitocin. So I was very embarrassed after having that happen to me. I didn't really want to talk about it to too many people. But now I really want people to hear my story, because I could have told the nurse, no, I do not want that. I'm laboring on my own, and she would not be able to hook that up to my IV. So now I just like to relay that to people, that you do have options during labor. Anyways, to continue with the whole birthing process with my son, the pain got really intense. They kept hiking up the Pitocin. It was at a 59. And for most of you people out there who have had Pitocin or are in the medical field, you know that a 59 is pretty high. So I was in a lot of pain, and a couple hours after they hooked the Pitocin up, I was at a 7 centimeters, and I wasn't progressing any faster than I was before, but I was having extremely bad contractions. They were every 2 minutes apart, lasting for 60 seconds, so they were pretty intense. I asked for the epidural, and so I ended up getting that around 7 centimeters. And a couple hours later, I woke up from a nap and I started having contractions again, and the epidural was not quite working. The nurse really wouldn't let me press the button for it. So she said that I really didn't need it. You know, I should be having the baby soon, and it wore off. And I started having really bad pains on my left side, and I started feeling the intense pressure. So I told the nurse, and sure enough, I was 10 centimeters and +2. So my son was ready to come, and that was really exciting. But during the pushing stages, I did one push. The nurse said stop and called the doctor. He was up there within a couple minutes. I guess his head was ready to be born. So he gets down there, and he doesn't really even try to stretch me out. I did 2 pushes, and he goes, okay, well, we're going to have to do an episiotomy. His head's not going to come out, and use the excuse that there was too much skin down there. So he cut me and then cut me again, and my son's head came out 2 pushes later. And the thing is that whole experience that I just explained to you was that the doctor really didn't let me use my body the way that it was supposed to be. And being a doula for me helps me educate the moms at their body is supposed to do that naturally. You know, if you are in labor, you do not need the augmentation of Pitocin. You don't need your water broken because your body is doing its own thing. It may take a little bit longer than the OB thinks that it needs to be, but your body knows what it's doing, and so does your baby. The other reason why I decided to become a doula was because I didn't have enough support. During my pregnancy, I really didn't make a lot of friends because I was very sick in the beginning, as most people are when they're pregnant. But being in a new state and away from your family is really hard, and your husband being at school all day, that was just really tough on us, and I just became a hermit. Towards the end of my pregnancy, I made a few friends, and it was nice to get out of the house. But then after I had my son, it was really hard to be able to deal with everything. 2 weeks after I had my son, I started realizing that I was not my normal self. I ended up having severe postpartum depression where it was bad. I cried all the time. I was really angry. I was angry at my son because it was hard for me to deal with breastfeeding him. And on top of that, he would constantly scream his lungs out. I would only get maybe 1-2 hours of sleep for the first couple of months. And if anybody knows me, I don't really do well on no sleep. So that was very hard on me, not having my family there to help me, and not a lot of people that were there for the strong support. So with all of that, I just strive to help moms make the right decision and educate them on what they need to do before labor, during labor, and after labor as far as care for themselves. Because yes, your baby is fragile, but also you need to take care of yourself too. So that's my whole thing. My little motto is empowering women to embrace the miracle of giving birth. And I basically want to empower women to know that their body is theirs. They have the right to make the decision about their labor and delivery and their postpartum care. If a doctor says, look, you can't breastfeed and be on antidepressants at the same time, that's a load of crap. Excuse my language, but it is. There are medicines out there that can help, and also like placenta encapsulation that will help ward off postpartum depression as well. I wish I would have known about that. Anyways, I mean, that's basically all it is just I just really want to be there for moms who don't have everybody there for them. A lot of times moms put themselves at the wayside and they don't think about themselves first, and that's where another motherly figure has to step in and be there for them. I hope this was informative of you guys. I know a lot of you watching already know me as a person and know me as a doula, and that was just for everybody else who was curious and wanted to know. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to comment below and I will be happy to answer them. And you guys should be looking forward to my next video in the next couple of days to a week. Have a great night.